Enjoy. I want you to imagine that you're in a military school, much like this one. Now, you're the only 13-year-old Asian kid in this sea of Southern Americans who, many of them, are much older and bigger than you are. Now, you chose to come here. They didn't. You're privileged in that you're a normal student who's capable of working hard and getting good grades. Everyone else, however, struggles with some form of behavior or learning issue. Now, after a long day of orientation, you settle down into your dorm, ready for the night, when suddenly, your ears prick up to this foreign sound. It's a trumpet blaring this military bugle call over the intercom. Now, you don't know this yet, but you're going to be hearing this tune every single day for the next 30 days of your life at 6 a.m. and at 10 p.m. This is then interrupted by an officer marching down the hall. He bangs on your door, tells you to get to sleep, and locks you in. The lights fizzle out. It's dark. You're homesick. It's cold. You didn't pack a blanket. And as you lie alone on the hard mattress of your bunk bed, you think to yourself, why did I even choose to come here? Well, that was actually me 3 summers ago, fresh out of Hargrave Military Academy. And as you can probably tell from my face, my smile, and my description just now, I hated being there. But honestly, looking back, it's had a huge impact on who I am today. But before I talk about that, perhaps it'd make more sense if I went to the very beginning. So just by show of hands, how many people here have ever witnessed bullying? Okay, most of us, right? And that's because bullying is a widespread and horrible problem. The humiliation, fear, and misery induced through name-calling, gossiping, cyberbullying, hazing, even physical torment. And the effects of bullying are lasting. You know, bullying falsely molds the bullied into what they're bullied for. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, take me for example. I mean, you can look at young Kasen over here. He wasn't exactly the fittest. But when I was in kindergarten, and I went onto my school bus, there were these 2 girls who just sat in front of me all year, and they were just playing this hand game. I don't know what it was, but it intrigued me. And so I asked them if I could participate in this game. And this one girl, she just looked at me. She gave me a full body scan from head to toe, and she was like, no, you can't participate in this game because you're fat, you're gross, I don't want to play with you. Now, 4-year-old Kasen was deeply hurt by this, and I remember for the next year, I had to sit at the back of the school bus alone and afraid. But this effect of bullying didn't only last for the year. When I grew up, I would later form this very unhealthy relationship with food, and as I grew up to become an adolescent, I would eventually become overweight. And because I knew that being overweight was something to be ashamed about, something to be insecure about, I felt so frustrated and humiliated, and I buried that deep within myself until later on in the future where I bullied others as an outlet. I remember one of the worst things that I ever did was picking on this guy who was a bit of a loner at my school. He had no friends, and I picked on him for 2 reasons. Firstly, no one liked him, right? So no one was going to stand up to me. He was easy. Secondly, I felt like if I picked on someone that nobody already liked, then people would like me, and I would be popular. So what I did is I exploited this guy's loneliness, his vulnerability, and I pretended to be his friend. And he didn't know that this friendship was fabricated, so I slowly gained his trust. And it came to the point where he trusted me with everything, and he told me something about himself so deep and so personal. And without a second thought, I just turned around, stabbed him in the back, and told my entire school what he had told me. I'd later find out through friends, teachers, and parents alike that this guy, he would spend his weekends alone in his room. He'd just sit on his bed for hours on end, just staring into blank space. He was lethargic with depression. And even though currently we've come a long way now, I've reconciled with him. I've asked for his forgiveness profusely, and he's given it to me very graciously. I can never say that our dynamic is normal. It can't ever be. And he has shared that to this day, he finds it difficult to form meaningful connections with other people because he has trust issues. And it hurts me to know that that's because of me. So, hurt people hurt people. You know, I know that that's a saying that's been so overused. It's become somewhat of a platitude by now, but it's true. You know, I was hurt at a very young age, but I would later go on to hurt so many more people at a much larger degree. Now, this cycle of self-loathing and bullying didn't stop until I was around 12, when I suffered a knee injury. Now, I was hospitalized for around 3 days, and I was on crutches, and when I came back to school, I realized that nobody even noticed that I was gone. And I realized that this was the case because nobody liked me enough to care that I was injured. And it was this realization that everyone hated me that pushed me to want to change. I desperately wanted to change. So, consequently, I signed up for a Chinese martial arts class. And I remember on the very first day, I walked into class, and my sensei just kind of looked at me. He thought I was lost, maybe a tourist. And he just asked me what I was doing here. And I was like, hey, I'm here to enroll. And I could just tell by the look on his face that he had little faith in me. He didn't think that I was going to survive. And to some extent, he was right. Being the youngest, being the weakest, and being the fattest kid in that class, I was bullied. Dr. Zori Fortune, the CEO of City Mental Health Alliance in Hong Kong, states that in Hong Kong alone, 53% of secondary students suffer from some form of depression, some symptom of depression. And depression has been linked to 3 main causes in a survey given out to adolescents, and they are one's own dissatisfaction with their looks, intelligence, and ability. Now, this festering insecurity within each and every one of us makes it so that we're all potential victims or bullies. And this is what bullies don't want to admit. It's that we're just all people. We're just like you. We have our own problems, we have our own conflicts, we have our insecurities. But instead of doing anything about it, we take the coward way out. We bully others because when we drag others down, we make ourselves look better in comparison. Now, when I was bullied in my Chinese martial arts class, I had the intention of changing myself, right? So I realized that there was something going on. I realized that bullying and insecurity create feedback loops that are incredibly hard to break. I was insecure, therefore I bullied. I was bullied, and I was insecure. Bullying comes from insecurity. Bullying, metaphorically, is insecurity. So I thought to myself, what if I solved the problem at its roots? What if I became healthy and strong? And on that very day, I made the decision to do so. And as unlikely as it may have sounded, it's that decision that has led me to go to Hargrave when I was 13, to working out at my local park every single day when I was 14, and just last year, to make my very own nutritional and dietary meal plans. Now, this change certainly has not been easy, especially in the beginning. It's tradition for my friends and I to mess around for around half an hour after school before heading out to eat tamzai samgo for afternoon tea. Now, for those of you who don't know what tamzai samgo is, you're missing out. It's this. It's a fast food restaurant that serves these soft noodles in a broth that's basically 90% MSG. It's powder at this point, but it's really good, but just really unhealthy. So I had to muster every single ounce of courage in me to tell my friends that I, unfortunately, could not go out to eat with them because I was on my very first meal plan. Now, their reception initially was unenthusiastic, to say the least. They felt like I was narcissistic, looking to impress girls, and generally just thought that this diet of mine wasn't going to work. Now, over the course of this journey that I've been on, I've realized that there's been this theme of isolation, of disconnection. Right? And I think that's inevitable when someone decides to go on a path that's so contrary to what society expects. For example, I no longer am able to just go out and eat with my friends at Hamdai or at KFC or at McDonald's because I'm at home making my own Tupperware meals. I can't go out to play with them. I can't go out to hang out with them because I'm always at the gym working out. Now, this disconnection, this isolation poses this question. Is all this change even worth it? Well, later in that year, we had a swimming unit. And in the past, I would have locked myself in a cubicle and changed shamefully. But this time, I was confident. Once my shirt was off, all eyes were on me. A couple of guys complimented me on my new physique. Some of them even went one step further and groped me in different parts of my body. But most importantly, my friends, the very ones who initially doubted me, were astonished by my results and came up to me and asked me for advice. So, spoiled it. Take Henry, for example. Henry, in this picture, weighed in at 90 kilograms. Clinically speaking, he was obese. Now, I'm not much of a cardiovascular guy. I like lifting weights. So on cross-country units, I'd always run at the back with Henry. And it was on these runs that I'd tell him advice, how to lose weight, how to maintain a caloric deficit, what to cut out of his diet. But it wasn't until I saw his dedication and his determination to change that I saw myself in him, and I gave him a meal plan for a price. And this is what Henry looks like today. Now, he still has a long way to go fitness-wise, but at least he's healthy now. He's 70 kilograms. It does not hurt for him to walk. He feels confident, and he's happy. Now, when I asked Henry what fitness has given him, or what fitness has taught him, he said, "It gave me more self-confidence. It might sound cheesy, but I really used to hate the way I looked. I hated getting pictures taken just because I thought I looked so fat. There was a point where I even disliked looking at myself in the mirror. Fitness, however, taught me the importance of making small, constant steps, even when the individual steps seem meaningless." Now, I have found that the key to breaking this feedback loop of bullying and insecurity is to make small but constant steps outside of your comfort zone. I know that's easier said than done, but look at me, right? My journey definitely was not easy. I was questioning almost all of my choices. Like, why am I in a military school doing push-ups all the way in Virginia? I could be doing push-ups in my own room. Why Virginia? Why am I choosing to sacrifice my Friday nights to go spar with guys who are twice my age and twice my size when I could be at home, gaming, playing video games, sleeping? And finally, why am I choosing to eat the 53rd piece of chicken breast for the week when I could be out eating whatever I want? The truth is, I embarked on this journey of transformation because I was insecure. But I had to embrace and acknowledge and deal with these insecurities in order to become secure. It was an awkward state change. It was an entire reframing of my character as a whole. But it's this freedom of security that has given me that has broken the chains of my past. I'm no longer a victim, nor a bully. Now, I want all of you to know that this journey, if you wish to embark on it, it's never going to end, and it's never going to get easier. Right now, I'm facing a whole new set of problems. My immediate community sees the person that I've become, yet they remember someone completely different. And I don't blame them. It's definitely hard to see someone in a positive light when all they've done in the past is terrorize people. But it's still my hope that by sharing the story of who I was versus who I am today, that I can inspire in you some desire of your own to step out of your comfort zone today. Well, maybe tomorrow, it's pretty late now. But you can do this by participating in activities that are especially daunting or highlighting of your deepest insecurities. For example, for me, it was when I decided to go to a US military school, or to go to a Chinese martial art class, or when I simply listened to my mother and ate my vegetables. I guarantee you that this journey's going to be very difficult, but it's also going to be very worth it. Thank you.